Pardon me. All right, welcome to MG number 230, Masculine Geek number 230, the Fireside Chats. Originally, this is going to be the live stream AD&D Games 2 session 24, 25, but Drew had to take care of some things, so you get us, for good or for ill.
I was just going to say our group wussed out on us, but, you know.
Your
way was a lot nicer.
It's a little more diplomatic, if you will. So there's pansies.
Yeah.
So what are you drinking?
Actually, just water. I did my drinking at lunch, so
it was a 2 martini lunch, huh?
Oh, a little bit more than that, but yeah. So so it was pretty nice. There's a somewhat famous hamburger joint that he'd heard about on some podcast or something like that here in Indy. And he wanted to go there. And so I'm like, okay, sure. And then unfortunately they are closed from the 27th to the till after the Independence Day holiday. So I'm like, dude, that's not going to happen. They're closed. Didn't you research this crap before you came to town? And he's like, oh,
you dumb bastard.
Yeah. So anyway, he's like, well, I'm open to suggestions. So I knew what he was looking for as far as quality of food and also atmosphere, local place, a cool bar that has good food.
Yeah.
And so that's not a chain crap hole kind of place. So that's what I offered him as a possibility, and sure enough, he absolutely loved it.
Cool.
Hey, and I got to notice that there's a new MG show on right now, so on my phone. So
there you go. See,
it's those notifications
actually work. They actually work here and there.
So
nice.
But so how about you? What have you got going
on? The usual stuff. As we were talking backstage, I have a funeral to go to on Friday. I don't usually talk about things publicly, but this is a fellow D&D player.
And you said a former guest?
Yeah, he was on one of the original Masculine Geek shows. It wasn't the first or second one. It was like 3 through. It was it was around the 3rd one and under the 10th one. Okay. I'm gonna rip it out and then maybe play that as a tribute to him. It's one of the ones that Aaron was on.
Oh, okay.
So it was kind of cool. It was fun, but he was 33. I have no idea about details how he died. As I said, there was a police investigation. So, all right, June 10th, we were supposed to play D&D around the table. That game got canceled, but our lunch meetup was still in force. So I said, hey, on Thursday, June 8th, around 3-4 o'clock, I said, just a reminder, is lunch still good for everybody at 3 p.m. on Saturday? And everybody responded in the affirmative, and even Jarrett did too. He said, yeah, lunch sounds good. So the day shows up, 2 buddies show up, and Mictobus, no, not the opera guy, that's Tim. Jarrett was a former coworker of mine, and I've shown a few videos and photos on Twitter. Black dude. He played he's the monk, 7th level monk. His character name is escaping me at the moment, but he'd never played before, but had wanted to. And when he first started at work, we became instant friends, kind of a red pill switched on dude, had his shit together, into motorcycles. We've ridden together. And hey, if I invited him on the show, and also he expressed an interest in playing D&D, and had been playing with us for years now.
So not only a friend, but a member of your actual physical gaming group. So
correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Well, the weird thing is, after he replied in the affirmative, he never showed up on that Saturday. So somewhere between that Thursday and that Saturday, some shit went down.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no idea. I just found out about the funeral services about 2 hours ago from another coworker. I don't even know how he found out. I have to find. I need to delve deeper tomorrow when I go to work. Thanks, McDivus. I appreciate it. He was a good dude. He wound up losing his job, and then 2 weeks later, his wife left him.
Mm-hmm.
So there was some serious shit. So some people may say, "Oh, well, maybe he was, maybe he, yeah, what's up, Jesse? Maybe he, kind of zeroed himself out from that." But contextually speaking, and from what I know, what happened in between the job loss, the wife loss, and now, that seems. What's up, Paul? That seems highly unlikely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not ruling it out. I'm not ruling suicide out, but it seems highly unlikely.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll hopefully, like I was saying prior to going live, part of me doesn't want to know and just wants to pretend, hey, it was natural causes, and remember him that way. I part of me doesn't want to know any fucking retarded details. So. I lost a good friend and a D&D gamer buddy of mine. He's only 33.
Oh, recently?
Yeah, it happened within 2 weeks. And the funeral there was a police investigation surrounding his death, and a bunch of other. Pain takes a long time to get rid of. It depends, and especially with people you're close to, and I'll say this for family members in particular, that shit doesn't go away. Lost my mother in 2016 and my grandmother in 2009. Held their hands as they died. It does not. They were fortunate enough to have family around them, but that pain doesn't go away. It lessens, and the edges are taken off, but it doesn't go away. And anyone that's going to try to tell you that it goes away is lying to you and is a complete piece of shit. So
I still get pissed off when I think of my buddy George. So he was.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I mean he's been dead since 1986.
Yeah, so, it's still with you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So
I've always looked at death a little differently, but I think that's because of the way I was raised. My dad's side of the family, they were always very sort of cold-hearted when it came to death.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like when family members die, I mean, some have affected me more than others. Like when my grandfather died on my mom's side of the family, I held it together pretty well until they showed his body at the funeral, and then it was just like, oh, okay, now it's real, But but other times, I sort of have learned to compartmentalize it a little bit, and so I'm not always affected by it like a lot of people think I should be.
Well, those kind of shoulds and shouldn'ts are, that's just bullshit. You're gonna feel how you're gonna feel it.
Yeah.
and it you deal with it a certain way at this time, and then maybe a memory hits you, or a photograph, or a smell, or just a scene when you're out and about reminds you of that person.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't try to shy, especially with family members, and even with Jared, I'm not going to try to shy away from that or try to tamp that down. But just all right, I feel shitty, I feel really bad, and I'm going to feel bad. So fuck off.
Yeah,
that's just the way it is.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
See, I was with my dad when he died. I was there, and one of his daughters, my sister, was there. So I literally felt the life leave him and his body go cold and the whole the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
Now he was not biologically my father, but I didn't know that for like the first 40 years of my life. So he's really the only dad I ever knew. And he was pretty tough on me. My brothers, who now know about that kind of stuff, think he was tough on me because I wasn't his, but I think he was just tough on me because I was the oldest kid, and I was also naturally kind of independent and rebellious, so I was not quick to back down or knuckle under to authority, which made 8 years in the service kind of amusing, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
But no, my brothers, my nephews and nieces in particular, the grandkids, they like lost their crap. They, so as the oldest, I had to have my stuff wired tight, and so I never really got a chance to mourn him or anything else. I was too busy being
taking care of business,
for everybody else, because that's just a part of the gig. But hell, I've been going to funerals since I was, single digits. There was a time there because I spent a lot of time with my great grandmother and her brother, my Uncle Bob, that every weekend one of their friends had died, so I was going to their funeral and stuff. And then of course there was older family members and things like that, and I would walk with my great grandmother to the little town cemetery where a bunch of my relatives were buried. So I mean, and according to my mom, I may very well have been conceived in that very same cemetery. So
that's right.
There's that.
Yeah. Oh shit.
But so I mean, that particular cemetery, a small cemetery in a little town in Indiana, is like a sanctuary in kind of a way. So I mean, death was something I got hip to at a real early age, probably far earlier than was healthy for me. But it wasn't something that became kind of a morbid, gothy obsession kind of, thing. It just, one of my earliest memories about life is the fact of how bloody short it is and how it can be snapped out at any moment. So, it just kind of is what it is. And I buried more than one buddy when I was in the military. Not for any great brave combat reasons. It's just, guys die in the service. It's just how it is. It's,
Yeah, contextually, it's there's a certain level of mortality.
Yeah, I mean, armored personnel carriers, Bradley fighting vehicles fall through frozen ice on lakes in Germany, and float skids or not, it doesn't keep it from going to the bottom of a lake, and if you don't get out, you drown. That's just how it is. So, stuff like that. So.
I was gonna say it's sort of off topic, but also on topic. You said that you were conceived in a graveyard. That reminds me of the movie Return of the Living Dead. Like when the teenagers are partying and all of a sudden they're like, "Hey, you want to fuck on the grave and shit?" Like,
I saw that movie. Oh, that movie opened the weekend.
It's a documentary of my life. Oh.
Yeah, that movie opened the weekend I graduated from basic training, and I went to basic training at Fort Knox, Kentucky, and of course that's taking place in like Lexington or Louisville. I can't remember, one of those two cities in Kentucky. Obviously, it was filmed in California, but within the context of the story, it was taking place in Louisville or Lexington, and so I'm like, so. I won't spoil the end, but when the big thing happens at the end, I'm like, oh, cool, I'm in the Fallout zone.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I actually got to see that the night before I graduated. My family came down for the graduation, so I actually got a couple hour pass off base. I had to be in before midnight. And so I got to go out with my family for a little bit, and I got to go see a movie. And I actually, my mom didn't go. I got to take one of my younger brothers or sisters there and see this zombie flick, which I have mixed feelings about, but I still mostly like that movie. There's a lot about it that I do like, although there are some elements about it that are just, ridiculous plot wise. But anyway, so I got to see that the weekend it opened up, and then I came back, polished my my low quarters or my dress shoes, and made sure everything was ready to go for the graduation ceremony in like 5 hours. It's just,
One thing I thought was funny about that movie was that somewhere in the beginning, it used to say, I don't know if it still does if you watch it, but it says based on a true story or based on true events or something. Right. And so you're like, oh, this actually happened. And as a kid watching it, that was the first horror movie I ever saw. It was
really,
yeah, it was on TV. And remember back in the day, they would put movies on TV and but they would clean it up so that, they would edit it for TV so that there wasn't any nudity in it or anything.
Curse
so
words.
So a lot of that stuff was on, and it was somewhat acceptable for kids to watch at that point.
Right.
And but I remember my parents were like, "No way, you're watching this! Like you and your brother are gonna have nightmares." And my brother and I were latchkey kids, so we were like, "Fuck you, we're watching it." Right. So we watched it anyway, and then just like we sort of snuck and watched it, but they weren't home, so it was easy to do. But that was I distinctly remember that was the very first horror movie I ever watched.
Although I feel sorry that you missed out on Linnea Quigley's breast. She played the.
I've seen it. I saw it later. I saw it later. Yeah,
I've seen it since.
They're a particularly nice pair. She played
a nice pair of
punk
titties,
rocker trash with the red hair. So
zombie with titties just walking around. Hot punk chick. Yeah.
Yeah,
nice.
that was
nice.
Yeah, glorious stuff. One of the first horror movies I got to go see stuff at the drive-in and everything. So it would be really hard for me to come up with what was my first horror movie between drive-ins, showing double feature monster movies in the 1970s. I mean, double features like The Boy Who Cried Werewolf and Hiss, starring Dirk Benedict from the original Battlestar Galactica, to Sammy Terry, who was local horror host here in Indiana. But the world premiere on television for The Exorcist, we watched that, and it freaked the crap out of my little brother, who was born in about 73, maybe.
Like Stephen King Salem's Lot.
Yeah, The Exorcist just freaked him out on TV, and then it didn't help that later that night when they went to bed, I crawled under his bed and started pushing up on the bed from the bottom of my feet and stuff,
You're
and making
bastard.
it
I love it,
and making kind of noises and stuff, and he freaked. I mean, I'm surprised the cops didn't come, because he let out such a blood-curdling. He broke a solid oak door once because of that, because our basement looked like the film set for Sammy Terry, who, if you lived in Indianapolis in the 70s, it wasn't the boogeyman's going to get you, Sammy Terry's going to get you. So we went down to the basement to put some stuff down there for my mom. I, of course, ran up the stairs, hit the light switch, and shut the door and locked it. And this is like an ancient oak door that was made in like the 1920s or something like that. Yeah. And he was so freaked out and so hyped up on adrenaline, he broke the bottom of the door trying to get out. And it's like, as soon as I saw that wood splinter and crack, I'm like, oh crap, Dad's gonna kill me. But God, it was worth it. So my little brother was a shit who I had to beat his ass every day after school because he got into my stuff. So I feel no remorse at anything I did to torture him as a child, because he absolutely deserved it.
Fuck that kid.
I actually remember mine. It was Alien.
Really?
I was 5 years old. Yeah.
Oh shit.
And for some reason, my dad's just like, my mother was like, I walked in while they were watching it, because it was like in the middle of the night. I couldn't sleep. Mm-hmm. And Mom was like, "You need to go back to bed. You shouldn't be up right now." And I'm like, "I can't sleep.
You're definitely not going to sleep after watching this.
Just let him watch. Mm-hmm. And that was during the moment where like the alien came out of the stomach and shit.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh man,
I'm going back to bed now.
I had nightmares. Yeah,
That's awesome.
I watched maybe like 30 minutes and I had nightmares after that. But I think
Yeah.
it was a good thing though, because the sooner you get it out of your system, the better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but horror movies that the only kind of horror movies that really legit freak me out are the demon possession ones, or
Mhm.
even like the poltergeist haunting ones,
Yeah,
because
the almost like the horror ghost story.
because
Yeah.
with like the demon possession shit or or spirits, right? Like you're dealing with the spiritual realm. Like you can't fight that. How do you need Jesus to fight that shit, right? Like
You
or
need holy
whatever.
water and a cross.
Right, you need something like that that just
the
and you're
priest.
not powerful enough. You need 2 priests or whatever. I don't know,
Right.
but
It
Okay.
sounds like our D&D game on that island of undead.
Yeah. With
Yeah.
the fucking undead all over the place.
but when there's a physical threat, right, like zombies or slasher, I don't know.
Jason, Freddy.
Jason, yeah. Like I'm like, you have a fighting chance against this guy. Even Nightmare on Elm Street, right? As long as you can like wake up and pull him into the real world, like you got a fighting chance against this son of a bitch. But a demon, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
That's how I always look at it, anyway.
The one
That's
that
true.
always bothered me were the ones with where kids die. I never liked those, and it wasn't when I was a kid that I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a target kind of a thing. It just, I always had that kind of father. You know how when you become a dad, stuff that doesn't phase you phases you because it's like, well, I've got a kid now, and that change. So for some reason, I don't know if it's because I was the oldest or whatever, but that switch got flipped at a really early age. So that kind of stuff bothered me. So, I didn't care about monsters killing teenagers and people and whatever. Sometimes there would be certain protagonists in stories that's like, oh, damn, it's a shame he got killed because he was such a cool character, or he was actually smart and paying attention to what was going on. But I could get that from the story that sometimes good guys die, but kids getting killed or
Animals
that always that kind of stuff bugs me, and it always has. So
You ever see the movie Warlock?
yes.
Yep.
Dude, when he goes up to the child that's swinging, and he eats the fat of the child in order to fly and shit. Like,
yeah.
That messed
He
with me.
just,
They
he
never
just died recently, didn't he?
the actor, did he?
Yeah, the
what's
actor
his
that
face?
played Warlock, yes.
Julian Sands.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, I
Julian
didn't know
Sand.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, they never showed it though. They never showed like
It was
what happened to the
implied, but
girl.
that was even worse.
Yeah. You're
Yeah,
like, what happened to
because-
the little girl? And then he's like eating, child fat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a great
Yeah,
movie.
because
It was a good movie.
Yeah,
it was
I
very
remember-
underrated.
yeah, it was a really good movie. And
good
another
premise.
movie, ghost story wise, that I always liked was The Fog, the original John Carpenter movie, The Fog.
Oh yeah.
with the pirate sailing ghost, and everything that were lepers, and I always thought that was a good movie. I would
you like-
name the cast, but it's pretty much the cast in almost any John Carpenter movie, including Escape from New York. It just didn't have Kurt Russell in it. But as far as
That's
the other
true,
Atkins and Jamie Lee Curtis and several
She's
other
in
different
fucking every
character
horror
actors
movie.
to it, they were all
yeah. There's a really good one in this. It came out in the mid '70s. Classic haunted house ghost story with George C. Scott called The Changeling.
Changeling. The great movie.
Yeah, I watch that every October, every Halloween. I love it. It's so good. He's such a great actor.
Well, and that's almost like a serious movie that just happens to be a supernatural movie, because it's got the whole cast is like top shelf actors from stage and cinema.
Mhm.
And it's kind of a slow burn sort of story. So, I mean, if you've got the attention span of a gnat, or you can't sit down you can't urinate without looking at your cell phone and see what's going on Twitter, it's not a movie for you. But I mean, if you can sit down and actually appreciate a good story, it is a really, really good one. And it's really well done.
Yeah, George C. Scott plays a recently widowed composer and teacher at a university who just buys this. He needs to grieve over his wife and daughter died in a car accident, and he buys this old house that's haunted, and it progresses from there. There's a very weird circumstance surrounding the haunting.
Mm-hmm.
So
it
relies on.
I was going to say, cool. Have you guys seen the Insidious series?
No, what's that?
So they're relatively new. I think they came out over the last, within the last 10 years. But when my kids were, starting to get, I think maybe my son was 9, which made my daughter around 12 or whatever. They started really hounding me about watching horror movies, and so I was like, let me see if there's any horror movies that are like PG-13. Because a lot of the old like classics have a lot of nudity in it, a lot of sex and all this kind of shit, right? Because it's all about like teenagers fucking, and you got to kill the teenagers for being immoral, right? But so I was like, okay, what's out there that's PG-13? Well, Insidious, the whole series is PG-13. So we started watching the series we sort of binge watched them throughout all of October. They have a new one that's actually coming out. It's getting ready to come out in theaters, but man, that is a good series too. So good. It is freaky as hell. It's like a house is haunted, and so they bring this medium in, and the medium has a long backstory with this one particular poltergeist that's causing all of it, and it's really good series. Really
this song, and it's called.
No, that's not the. Oh, I'm sorry, Vince.
I was just saying, what's it called again?
Insidious.
Insidious. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna say that's not the one that's connected to the people that supposedly did the research into the Amityville horror. Is it is there a couple in it, or is it just?
It starts off as a family. The first one's like a husband and wife, and I think they have a son. And the son, if I remember right, it's been a while since I've seen it, but it's either a son or a daughter. But either way, like the kid, like every night is being called to go towards this red door in the attic, right? The red door is like the entrance into the spiritual realm, and it turns out like as the series progresses, you find out that this is plagued not just this kid, but like the kid's father. The kid's father did this stuff when he was a young kid too. Like the same entity is plaguing this family, and it's been doing this for a while.
So it's like a family curse or something?
Kinda, yeah. I can't remember all the ins and outs of it because it's been a while since I've seen it, but I do know that that there's a new one coming out, and I'm pretty excited to see it.
That's cool.
I gotta go back and watch them again.
I'm not a big gory horror fan. Like, it's just it really doesn't interest me. I like the thrillers and haunted house stories, ghost stories. Those are my favorites.
What's one of the worst ones that you've ever seen?
The worst gore?
No, just like just general. Because I'd say right now, Jason X is probably the worst fucking Friday the 13th.
Oh, yeah.
He's in outer space and shit. Yeah.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
So bad. It's so bad.
You poor fucker. That's a good question. I have a tendency to stay away from the overly commercialized, like Jason Part Pie, or whatever. Those I don't like sequels of sequels of sequels. I think that dilutes. I'd rather have a series. That's fine, but a sequel, I that really, especially in the horror genre, doesn't really interest me all that much. So, the new
Halloween movies were phenomenal.
I heard good things about them. Yeah.
It's like the way they did it was I think they just had a trilogy of them, I think, and so like the first one, it was supposed to be a direct sequel to the second movie or something. Or whatever it was. And then it's like all the other shit that happened in the 90s never happened, right? It's like a total different, universe timeline type thing.
Yeah.
It's really good. Yeah, those ones are really good.
Okay.
I wish the original kind of plan for Halloween would have worked out, because Halloween was just supposed to be a one and done. And then one of the things that John Carpenter had speculated on doing after that, when they wanted more, because he didn't want to do Michael Myers as a reoccurring villain, and which is what you got with Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, was this a Halloween themed horror movie that came out every year or every other year, that was like an anthology, a horror anthology that always took place around Halloween, which I thought would have been absolutely wonderful, because I actually liked Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. I thought it was really interesting concept. Does it have some problems here and there? Yeah, of course. But I honestly really, really like that movie. And a movie that kind of played off of that into the future was a movie called Trick or Treat, which has little Sam, who's like the spirit of Halloween. And it is an anthology in and of itself, with like 4 different stories that all take place that night and kind of intertwined with each other. And I thought that was a really, really good movie, and had a lot of, and that's something I would have loved to have seen a sequel for, as far as another really good Twilight Zone-y, Outer
Therein
Limits.
lies the problem, is really good in the word sequel.
Well, but it would be, it wouldn't be, it's not a sequel, it's a sequel, and here is another Halloween themed movie of really cool Twilight Zone, Outer Limits stories. You know, here's an, you know, it's, you know, just because, you know, you've got a volume 1 of Doc Savage doesn't mean volume 2's going to stop. You know,
Well, like I said, that falls under the category series.
Yeah, so that's what I mean, more of a series than an actual sequel. But as a movie, it would be called a sequel, that it's Trick or Treat 2 or Trick or Treat 3 or whatever. But you know, the story has nothing to, you know, the only reoccurring character, if there is one, is just the spirit of Halloween, who wanders through these vignettes, which is pretty much what the character did in the first movie. You know, so, but yeah, I've seen a lot of really weird horror movies. I mean, especially going to the drive-ins, and like I said, in the 70s, you know, the Legend of Bogey Creek, which is kind of this Bigfoot monster
the Sasquatch
movie
down in
that's
Arkansas,
that's supposed to be
Yep.
based on a true story. Like I said, there was the Boy Who Cried Werewolf, and Hiss, which is about a guy who gets turned into a snake. And The Boy Who Cried Werewolf is actually about a kid whose dad gets turned into a werewolf, but no one believes them, which is really more of a kind of a movie kind of talking about the problem with divorce, and how it, you know, dads get portrayed as monsters. So it's kind of a weird movie from the 70s. But and then there's a movie I saw called The Children. Sometimes it's called The Children of Ravensbrook, or I believe, and it's basically the school bus. There's a reactor leak or gas leak from a reactor somewhere in the Northeast, a la 3 Mile Island kind of a thing. A school bus full of kids drives through this cloud. The poisonous cloud kills the children and reanimates them as kind of like zombie creatures. Their fingernails turn black, and if they touch you with their hands, they basically burn you with radiation. So of course the bus driver gets killed, and then, you know, the kids are missing. People are looking for the kids. People find the kids, and it's like, oh, the kids are safe, and the kids hug them and kill them. And so and so you have to kill these kids, and the only way to do it is to chop off these their mutant hands, radiated hands and stuff. So it was a very weird movie from like the early 80s. But yeah, and then Phantasm, which I think is a great movie. The sequels, I don't know, but
like I said,
but the original Phantasm,
the first one,
was a great
that freaked me
movie.
out too, yeah.
And then, like I said, The Fog, obviously the original Halloween. So there's a movie called Death Master, which is a vampire versus hippies kind of movie, which is really kind of interesting. I remember seeing scenes of that when I was really, really young. And it was one of those things that it's like that movie stuck with me because there was a scene where a guy gets scared, steps back, and he puts his hand in like a barrel or a bowl of water, and there are leeches in it, and he's got the leeches on his hand, and he's trying to pull them off and stuff. And I'm like, this scene stuck with me for years, and it finally took me like 10, 20 years until I could actually find what movie that was, and it was Death Master.
Oh, okay.
So
the Hammer horror films are always good to go back and watch.
Oh, absolutely.
The classic horror movie monsters, the Frankenstein and Dracula and Wolfman and the Mummy.
Although Hammer only did one werewolf flick, the one with Oliver Reed as a werewolf. There
was like 2 or 3, I think, but they didn't fall under their production. Hang on a second.
There were a couple that like Amicus did that had werewolves in them, but with Hammer, the only one is that one with Oliver Reed. Whereas they did all of those Dracula movies with Christopher Lee, and some of which had Peter Cushing in it. They did the Frankenstein movies with Peter Cushing in it, which also had Christopher Lee as a Frankenstein monster in one. And David Prowse, the actor that played Darth Vader, played a Frankenstein monster in, I think it was like Frankenstein Monster from Hell or something like that. So he was in one of those Hammer movies as well. Actually, when I met him, I spent more time talking to him about working in those movies, as far as because he was in Stanley Kubrick's Clockwork Orange, but he's also in one of my favorite vampire movies, which is one of Hammer's later vampire movies called The Vampire Circus, which is really, really good. And it is right in that time where Hammer's really kind of upping the sexuality in their movies. But despite that, or however you want to look at it, it's not cheapened or lessened because of that. It's actually a really, really good and really, really interesting vampire movie. And the vampires are absolutely monsters. So this is all as they should be. Not that Twilight Sparkle crap.
Sparkle bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Do you guys watch anything like nowadays? I really don't.
No.
I don't even have a
terrible.
TV.
There's like no story to like most things. It's like not that much effort in it.
Yeah, most things are recycled now. You know, they just take like old concepts and reboot everything. You know, they can't come up with anything new. And then the writers have the
Queen
gall
Latifah as the Equalizer.
What?
Yes.
Is that a real thing?
Yes.
Yes.
There is a current series called The Equalizer, starring Queen Latifah.
Get the fuck out.
And
never seen it, but I heard it.
It was one thing when they made it with Denzel Washington, right? Because the original Equalizer was a white British dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, former British SAS and
right. And so then they have Denzel Washington do it, and he did a fucking good job. So I was like, okay, this is actually a pretty good series, right? Like the 2 movies that they did, but to completely take it and then turn it into Queen Latifah.
Oh yeah,
gotta have a girl power movie, I guess, right? Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, that's the same way
series,
with the way they've done Magnum PI and Hawaii
trash.
5-0 and stuff. Yeah. It's all okay. We're going to take this formerly beloved show. We're going to affirmative action the cast, and except for villains, we'll still let white men play those parts. But then on and on they go, and it's like there's nothing interesting there. And because it's like I like the originals well enough that I don't need to see these others. And I'm trying to think of his first name. Woodward's his last name, but the actor who played the original Equalizer also played the police officer in The Wicker Man, the original Wicker Man, which is also a great freaky little movie with Christopher Lee and Brett Eklund, I think. And Ingrid Pitt, the delightful, luscious Ingrid Pitt from Poland.
Right.
Oh gosh,
great titties.
Oh yeah, she has curves in all the right places.
Yeah, the Hammer horror girls are good. Look them up.
Yes, there's actually a book called Hammer Glamour, which is basically a pinup or a photo book of the various lovely young ladies who played both heroines, monsters, and victims, and so forth, and all the different Hammer movies. So I recommend it if you're into appreciating the female form, especially women that actually look like women with long hair and curves,
not fat shits.
Yeah, so.
Like real curves, not the ones that were appropriated by fat.
Curves as in hourglass curves, not milk jug curves.
Yeah.
That's not good. Oh, it's a shape. Well, yeah, I guess technically
not rolls.
Technically, yeah, milk jug is a shape, but it's not very pleasing. That's a fetish niche market for certain guys. That's not the standard, as it were. Jesus. Ridiculous. Anyway, how are you two guys doing? I didn't. We kind of started off on a morbid tone. I didn't get a chance to ask you how you guys were doing. So, Paul, Jesse.
Yeah, pretty good.
Outstanding. Living the dream.
Okay.
I don't know if you knew this, but I'm the world manosphere champion.
I was going to drop.
Everything.
I was going to drop a comment. Like, I'm enjoying the shit talking the wrestling guys used to do, like, to each other. It's like totally it's like you're recreating it. It's really cool.
Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with it. So that
are you having fun with it, or are you having fun with how many people aren't getting that that's what you're doing? Because I've seen a lot of that too.
A little bit of both. I'm.
We smell what you're cooking there, Paul.
A little bit of both. So it started out because Glenn wanted to do a skit. He's like, Ryan's been talking about how the manosphere and that kind of shit is kayfabe. He's been talking about that shit for years, right? So Glenn's like, why don't we do a skit? Why don't we do an actual like pro wrestling skit? And me as a pro wrestling fan, I was like, dude, say when. I was like, I've been looking for an excuse to buy a custom belt forever. So this is the perfect excuse.
Oh, so you actually made a custom Manosphere belt?
Oh yeah, he has the belt.
Oh shit! I thought it was just one of your normal belts.
It's real, man. It's
no, he has Rule 0. It's right there.
Jesus Christ, that's awesome.
Undisputed.
Okay, so Glenn is going to dispute you.
He's the number one contender. Yeah.
So what's the Summer Smash thing that I've been hearing about? What's going on?
So we've been. He came up with this idea, and I was like, well, I'm going to buy a belt, and he's like, oh, that'll be perfect. And so I just started cutting promos on his ass, right? Just
all right.
about how he's a jabroni, and he's trying to take my belt, and so it turned into like at first it started off sort of as like a joke, and we were saying SummerSlam. But that's a WWE thing, and we don't want to get sued, so we changed it to Summer Smash. And Glenn actually went out, talked to a wrestling promoter in Vegas, and he's got us a ring.
What?
So this is real. This is
real
shit!
Life. I thought you guys were fucking around.
No, he's got us a ring. There's a local wrestling school, and they also put on indie wrestling shows, and he worked it out. Yeah, so near the end of September, I'm gonna fly out there. We're actually going to shoot it, and we're actually going to do it in the ring. But it's
you can have like an announcer too, like interview you before the
Yeah,
Or
he's
they-
got all sorts of people that are like hyped for this. Do you know Offie Kingdom?
I've heard of the name. Yes.
Offie's like down with this. Like, I think Offie's going to be the announcer. I think he's got the guy one of the guys, Miguel from Dollar Cost Crypto. Miguel's like wants to fund this whole thing and actually get us a pay-per-view. Yeah, fucking
I went
crazy.
to Atlantic City when he did the celebrity boxing with M to the K. Yeah, I was there with him.
That's
Yeah,
fun.
so that was pretty fun. So yeah, he's big into that stuff, and I wouldn't be surprised if he'd use it to promote.
Thank you, Nico.
cryptocurrency with Hex some more. So
There you
Yeah,
go.
so it
The
should be
$2 super
fun.
chat.
So, go ahead.
You can read it if you want, Paul.
Oh yeah, Nico with the $2 super chat. They are going to be literal Manosphere heavyweights. That's right. Yeah.
Cool.
So today I was streaming live this morning, and then in the middle of my stream, I also have a phone that's usually sitting right here where I'm live on TikTok. It's 33 minutes in the fucking TikTok. I get banned from my live stream. Right?
What?
I get a notice on my screen saying you've been banned from live, and you're banned from lives until July 7th. So I did some dig. It turns out that jabroni, Glenn Lawrence, fucking went and reported the video and got now it's personal.
Oh shit!
Wow.
It's a fun.
He's fighting dirty. I like it.
I was like, yeah, we're just trying to sell some tickets, okay? It was just gonna be a prize fight, but now it's personal.
Jesus. All right. And so the Summer Smash is in September. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm gonna be flying out, and we're gonna do that in a real wrestling ring, and
This is Vegas, right?
Las Vegas. Yeah,
Las
and Glenn's
Vegas.
got a whole camera crew for this.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
And you're gonna get like a block of hotel rooms nearby.
I don't know about a block. I think I'm probably gonna crash at Glenn's house actually.
Oh, okay. I thought you were like turning this into like a thing, like a.
Oh yeah, where people can actually show up. No, it's not gonna be a live event. We're gonna.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna film it, and Glenn's he's going to video editing school. He's working on a degree in that right now, so he's interning at Sticky Paw Studios, and he's basically working for Rollo, and so he's got all the equipment, and he's gonna edit this together. It's going to be like a whole cinematic.
So is he actually
experience.
working for Rollo, or is he officially Rollo's bitch?
Yes. Yes. Both.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he goes around now, and whenever Rollo's doing anything, he's filming B-roll and stuff like that for Rollo, so that Rollo can put out these cool promos and stuff, like getting out of private jets or whatever the fuck Rollo's doing these days.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I say, is Cappy going to be in Vegas in September? I'd say
probably not. Cappy doesn't want anything to do with this nonsense. This is all,
Well, no, I was just thinking that maybe Vince and I ought to fly out to Vegas and freeload at Cappy's place, and then come hang out with you guys and smoke cigars and place bets on the match or stuff.
I got to ask him. Actually, Glenn and I are going up to Sturgis. We're going up to Sturgis in August.
Oh, cool.
And I'm actually gonna crash at Cappy's place, so I can ask him if he's planning on doing that. But I typically don't think he goes down to Vegas in September because it's too hot.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering if it was too early, in because I know he winters there, not summers. So I'm wondering if it's still going to be too hot.
I still have an open invitation to use the place when he's not there, so I could always see what's going on.
Yeah.
You gonna be there for the crypto mindset in August?
To what?
Are you familiar with the crypto mindset course Miguel's hosting?
No.
I know of the courses, but I didn't know.
Yeah, Rollo's going to be there too. So.
Oh, it's like, what is it, like a meetup?
Yeah, it's gonna. I think it's the 3rd and 4th, or the 4th weekend, that Friday and Saturday of August. So, I'm up in the air with that because I got my kids during that time. So I got to figure that out. Yeah. Unfortunate timing, but I usually fly out there. Like every time I go back and forth because they're on the West Coast, so I picked them up for the summer. I make pit stops in Vegas and see everybody usually.
Gotcha. Oh, that's cool. No, we got an MG Village by the sea the end of September, early October, so we'll see what's going on.
Gotcha. Yeah. If you guys are out there and you guys plan to do like a meetup, just let me know.
We do want to. I do want to get everyone around the table to play.
Yeah.
live, like our
Yeah.
DD group. Obviously, Paul's welcome to sit in the Lincoln chair and film.
Two places I travel the most.
While you
Miami and
while you guys
Vegas.
are playing D&D, like yeah, talk dirty while you do that.
That's right, bitch. Harder, bitch, harder. Roll those dice harder. What was that, Jesse?
Oh, I was just saying, like two places you'll find me the most is Vegas and Miami if I'm ever traveling.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good to know. Yeah, we do want to get one of those on the schedule before too much time passes. So that'll be fun. Definitely things on a lot of trips on the list. A lot of trips. So, but playing with you guys around the tabletop is something I want to do.
It's actually kind of nice. Last year I was traveling probably like once a month. It's pretty crazy. Yeah. This is like the first time it's been like 3 months without travel. I'm like, feels nice for once to not go.
You're right. The idea of it, but when you're constantly doing, you do get a little burned out.
Yeah.
For my day job, I had a CTO that would have me fly out once a quarter just to show face, just to show face around the office, because I work, remotely, and I've been doing that for like the last 10 years now. And so every once in a while, just to show face, I'd show up for like a couple days and just be like, hey, everybody, I'm still around, and then fucking fly home. And I hated it. And when he left, I just was like, I'm not going back unless they absolutely need me to go back. So I've had a couple of things lately where, one of the executives is like, so are you going to come out to this? You're going to fly out to Dallas? And I'm like, no, I'm good.
No,
I'm good. I'm good.
Yep.
Do you need me out there? No, okay, cool. I'll tune in remotely over Zoom. I'm good. They're like, but we want you to feel included. We want you to feel inclusive. And I'm like, I
already feel included. I don't need to show up.
I'm included. Yeah, I'm good.
I'm already included by working on your payroll. I'm included.
You keep sending me paychecks every 2 weeks.
That's pretty goddamn inclusive. Jesus Christ.
I just noticed I was still the dwarf in here.
You are.
Yeah, I just noticed. I was debating about editing it for you, and I'm like, it's all right. He can be the dwarf. It's all right.
Just waiting for somebody in the chat to say something like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I almost left mine as Bjorn, cleric of Thor, but it's like,
all right.
Fuck it, just leave it.
Yeah. I changed mine. But
what happened with that today?
Drew is got something, and then a couple other I think Noble had something to do with his house, and then we didn't hear from a few other people. So
I actually enjoyed the last session. It's kind of like murder mystery a little bit, the one that Drew was doing.
It kind of is, yeah, especially when you make it up as you go.
Yeah,
it's part of the fun. Definitely.
All right, but I'm gonna jump off here, guys. Gonna get to work a little bit here, but I did want to stop in and say hello.
I'm glad you did. Always a pleasure, Jesse. We'll catch up with you later. We'll see what's going on with the next game.
Cool.
All you got anything coming up on your show?
Oh, that would be probably yes. I'm assuming that's what it means by work.
Yeah. So
and then there were 3.
Yeah. So outside of taking your belt to his head, what all have you got coming up? You've had a boost in your numbers lately too, haven't you? On your subscriptions on YouTube and follows on Twitter.
I don't. It seems like it's slow going. It was going pretty quick because I had a short on YouTube that got over 1 million views. It's this one, like this chick talking about how there was this guy and he would have been the best husband for me, but I just thought I had this feeling that I needed something better, and so she left this guy and now she regrets it, right? And I was like, well, that's hypergamy, right? And so that went completely viral, and so that actually is like why my numbers are so high. But the thing about shorts on YouTube is it's really good for building a subscriber numbers, but it doesn't translate to the long form content, which is really fucking
to the views.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fine. It's like you'll get views on shorts, no problem, because people have the attention span of goldfish. But to get them to come over to the live streams or
span of lima bean.
Yeah. That's the challenge.
You want to read?
This
the
is a good
super chat,
question.
Paul?
Sure. Nico $5 says, Paul, who's going to be your next opponent after you kick Glenn's ass? You going for John Fitch? John Fitch wants nothing to do with this.
He's like, nope, not doing it. Nope.
John has a strong aversion to pro wrestling. I asked him, one time if he would ever consider making the leap, over to pro wrestling, and he's just like, fuck no. I'm not having some dude slam me around on my back where I can seriously get injured and not have the opportunity to hurt them back, And so John doesn't like it. He, I guess when he found out that pro wrestling was scripted when he was a kid, he had all the wrestling figures. He went and cut all their balls off and stuff. Like, he really fucking hates wrestling. Like, Wow.
Well, Nico is claiming here that he's just scared.
Yeah, he's just scared. He doesn't want none of this smoke. He doesn't want none of this smoke. But it's funny. John actually posted today. He shared this in our group chat. There's this guy. Let's see, Sean Strickland. He's a MMA fighter. Sean Strickland put out a video saying, as a collective man group, we need to elect somebody who's going to put women back in the kitchen. So I was like, well, shit, he's going to be the next contender after Glenn for the World Manosphere Championship. UFC fighter, talking about putting women back in the kitchen. Like, all right, yeah.
That's appropriate.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you're going to keep this going, like make it a thing?
I don't know what the plan is after Summer Smash. It might end up just being, a belt on the wall, and another thing I sort of look at it as that fucking guy from the 21 convention. If he can walk around with a red hat on saying that he's the president of the Manosphere, well, fucking why can't I be the World Manosphere champion? I mean, it's just as legit.
Yeah, I don't see why not. Now, here's the real question. Do you guys have uniforms picked out?
Oh, like singlets or
like a Nacho Libre kind of fucking shit from Mexico or some shit.
Oh God, y'all don't want to see me in that.
Well, no, we don't want to see.
I don't know. A luchador's mask might be an improvement there, man.
Touche.
I don't want to be that guy,
funny.
But still.
Dress up as what's his face? Oh God, Andre the Giant.
Oh yeah, like the one strap singlet.
The half wife beater.
Yeah, I mean, we could ask Noble if you could borrow Sarah Beth's bathing suit. I mean, didn't he post a picture of his wife in one? So come on.
There you go. Or
I don't know that it would fit you.
His Ranger panties.
Yeah,
I don't think so. I think I'll probably just wear like my normal like PT gear. Like PT shorts and a tank top. That's probably what I'm gonna wear.
There you go.
But
we have to wear you have to wear Rule Zero shirt, right?
Oh, I've got a whole Rule Zero.
Maybe have like put a wig on and a Rule Zero bandana.
or you could just have a big zero on the front of your shirt. It's
just a zero. Yeah,
just a zero.
Do the
roll across the butt and zero on the front.
Do the Borat.
That'd be kind of funny.
Great success.
An accent. Oh shit.
What was his line in that movie? It's like giving women the vote is like giving airplanes to monkeys or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I've never watched Borat, but I remember hearing that clip. So
let me look it up here.
Yeah, I think I've ever.
I'm gonna say, is someone in the chat know? It's
Mike, obviously.
Yeah.
To give women power is like giving a monkey a gun.
Yeah.
Not to put too fine a point on it, but yeah.
I think the last couple of decades we've seen plenty of proof of that. So
if you follow history.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, oh shit. So what else is going on, gentlemen? Same old crap.
Oh, on Friday, my live stream, I've got legendary porn star Eric Everhart to join me live on Friday morning.
You have who?
Eric Everhard. He's a porn star.
Yeah.
Oh, with a name like that, you'd have to be. Yeah, of course.
But he's I mean, he's an OG. He's been doing porn since like I want to say the late 90s.
Mm-hmm.
He said that when he first started doing it, there was like 5 guys. There was like 5 guys in the world, and he was one of them. Because and that's why, like in the older porn, you always saw the same dudes in every fucking thing, because there was only a certain amount of guys that could get it up under that kind of pressure. You know, like with all the cameramen on them and stuff. He's like, now everyone has like robo dicks. They all have fucking Viagra. You know, all that kind of stuff. And but it's funny. I had him on last year. I met him because he was selling his book, and I'm on a site called Matchmaker FM, and it pairs podcast hosts with guests. And he reached out to me on that, and I was like, get the fuck out of here, Eric Everhard. Okay, so I read his book. It's phenomenal. It's called his first book is called Unleash Your Sexual Superpowers. Fucking a great book. And so I had him on the podcast, and man, he's just a down to earth, cool dude. And it's funny because I ended up having Sterling on like a couple months after that, and like after we were done recording, Sterling's like, dude, I saw your interview with Eric Everhart. That guy's a legend. You know, like
Nice.
it was pretty cool. So yeah, Eric's man, he's chill too, man. He's one of those guys, like every once in a while he'll see that I post that I'm reading a book, right? And he'll DM me. He's like, oh, you're reading that book? I read that one. It's a really good one. You should read this book. And I'm like, I've never in a million years started getting book recommendations from porn stars, you know. But here we are. He's a cool dude like that. So
I never thought I would
people too.
Yeah, I never thought I'd talk D&D and gaming stuff with a porn star, but Vince and I both did with Sterling, so we were talking geek crap.
Board
so,
game,
you know,
and we told geek crap with him. Yeah, that was a good interview.
That reminds me of I saw a clip from, I can't remember what it was. Maybe it was you that shared it, Vince, with Henry Cavill, because Henry Cavill's into that kind of stuff, and
he's
he
a
was
Warhammer painter.
Yeah, so he was on some kind of show, and they were like, oh, so you're into whatever. He's like, oh yeah, I'm really into Warhammer. And then all of a sudden, like him and this guest start like nerding out, and he's just like, oh, you're into that?
They totally forgot the two chicks next to them, man.
Yeah. You could almost see their eyes glazing over, and he's like,
they were completely, the attention's not on me.
Yeah. So, yeah, I saw that clip, and I'm like,
and their voice their responses are very condescending. Those two didn't even give a shit. They're like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk over here about this. Go away.
Yeah,
that was a fun little clip.
But the thing is, I mean, it's absolutely true. We light up like that when we get to talk about stuff we actually care about. So, I mean, and it doesn't matter whether it's, you know, a guy who pulls up on a motorcycle that you like, and it's like, oh yeah, my other one's a whatever, or oh yeah, I've got an Indian, or I've got an old whatever, or, you know, cars, games, wrestling, football, whatever. It's just how we're wired.
Yeah.
It's what we do.
Yeah. I was working with one of my Patreon clients last night, and you know, on Bumble and on Hinge, you can have videos in your profile now.
Okay.
Which is like a fucking game changer for guys, I think. And so this guy, my Patreon, he paid this other guy to make him some videos. And he sends me the videos. He's like, what do you think? And I'm like, these are fucking terrible. Like, these are trash, man. Like you look really bad in these. You look nervous in these. You look, you know, like don't post these. Like, we'll make our own. So, so I got with this guy last night, and, you know, I had him, you know, sort of dressed like he would on a date, like a casual date, you know, sort of dressed nicer. Got him all psyched up, so he's like sort of, you know, in a mental zone where he's kind of excited to be there. And then I started asking him questions about shit he's passionate about, and he's just like fucking animated in it. You know, it's like, dude, this is what's, I think, you know, women actually do find it attractive when guys are passionate about certain things. You know, they might not care what we're passionate about, but they just like seeing that a guy that's passionate.
It illustrates and demonstrates the confidence level and the competency level in what you're talking about. When you're passionate about what you're talking about, there is no nervousness. There's no weakness. It doesn't matter what it is, as Robert was saying. You could be talking about, you know, pocket watches or, you know, your fucking lint collection.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
And so that's what I was trying to get across on these videos for this guy is just that confidence, you know, because that's why, like, you know, meeting women in person is better than dating apps, is because you can sort of showcase that. If you are a confident guy, you can showcase that in person, and women dig that. And so if you could put that on a video, it's almost like the next best thing. So I made him some of those videos last night, and hopefully that gets him laid. So we'll see, you know, science experiments.
Right. That's a good endorsement. Cool.
Yeah, exactly, Chad. You're right. Mish, actually. I just like calling him. Chad of Arabia.
Indeed. Or you don't spurg out about it. You can be passionate about something, but you cannot be a secret king about it.
What do you mean, secret king?
A gamma male. So you can have an intense passion about a hobby. Your ego and who you are cannot be the thing, if that makes sense. Your ego and who you are as a man still has to exist outside of the hobby. It can't be the be all and end all of who you are. If you go to any kind of gaming convention or any kind of convention at all, you see this a lot. And you'll find it in cigars, you'll find it in motorcycles. It's like that's their identity. Their identity is the thing. That only goes so far. I've run into that. So, and that makes sense. And they're you'll catch it because they'll be obnoxious. They know everything about it. You can't tell them anything. It's completely ridiculous. So you can't be
and
that.
They don't care about your opinion of it or anything else. And one of the cartoons I know they used to illustrate that is like the guys at the party, and it's like there's the guy chatting up the chick, and then the gamma male guy is off in the corner.
Oh yeah, they don't know that I'm a really good D&D player.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
All the other guys and chicks are sitting there talking to each other, and like, you know, if they only knew.
That's a secret king.
Okay.
You talk about your hobby, and then you bring people into it. You know, you let people ask you questions, and you ask questions about the person asking you the questions. You know, you make it's a huge social thing.
Yeah.
So you can't be a spurg about it.
Yeah, an example that when I was in high school, it's like music's always been a big part of my life. So I love music. I'm not that great at playing it because I don't get to do it enough to actually get good at it. But I'm very passionate about it, and I love music and bands and stuff like that. And so there was a time in high school I did not go anywhere without a Walkman. So I always had my music. So a girl asked me, "So what are you listening to?" And at the time I was listening to Billy Idol, but I was listening to some of Billy's stuff with Generation X, his punk band before he became Billy Idol on MTV and all that stuff. And so I'm talking about it, and I'm like really passionate about it. It's like, oh yeah, it's really great stuff. It's got a lot of vibe to it. So and she's like, oh really? I love Billy Idol. And I'm like, oh, really? Here. And I put my headphones on her, and I'm like cranking it up and playing and everything. Years later, I find out that girl, totally into country music, did not like rock music, was not interested in Billy Idol. She was
interested in you.
And because I was passionate about that and kind of peacocking and, you know, confident, and it just made her like me more, and her pretend to like what I liked in order to show interest to her, to transfer that passion I had for that thing to her. That's exactly what she was doing, you know. So I mean, that's the machine has a pre-programming to it. And once you figure out what it is, you know, it's
women have a very hard time operating outside of their own emotions. They don't, and you have to strum them like a musical instrument. There's an art to it, and part of your passions, many passions. I think who just made the Mike Steele, need to be a Renaissance man, like James Bond, cultivate many interests. Yeah, but here's the deal, though. You can't call yourself a Renaissance man. You can be one, but don't call yourself that, if that makes sense. But yeah, different things. I mean, obviously, there's only so much time in the day, but you discipline. You parcel out. You make time for the things that you want to do. An old friend of mine once said that, and hopefully, you have more than one thing. So, yeah. Enter women in the red. Yeah, I think Patrice O'Neill once said about women. He said, "Ladies, it's your job to fuck up our good time. It's your job to make a fucking mess of it." So it's up to the.
Didn't he also have the comic bit where I can't remember what he was talking about, and then the women in the audience started. I can't remember if he's like it's more fun just hanging out with guys, and the women were like, but they can do oral and
I know what you're talking about,
stuff like that. And Patrice is like, whoa, ladies, do you realize you have just summed yourself up as being nothing but a set of holes?
He was talking about if something happened to, like, you got a disease and you couldn't have sex anymore, like your pussy was broke.
Yeah.
What would you do to have value to your man? And all the ladies in the audience, or most of them, were like, "Oh, well, I give the ass, or I have my mouth." And he's like, "You see, you just reduced yourself to a series of holes." And that was coming from them themselves, not even from the men, which is very telling. So, all right, Nico, thanks again for the super chats. Appreciate that.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah. We don't require that you send a super chat with a question, although it does help support the show. We don't make money off this. Obviously, we all have full-time jobs, and this is a lark and a goof. We enjoy hanging out like this and talking, and meeting up and running the D&D games and having special guests in the bib and diaper kind of way, like that, such as Paul is his Come On Man podcast.
Special needs guests,
like Cappy, yeah,
Cappy every now and then. I have the retards on. But it buys us, every once in a while, it gets us a beer or so. So there you go.
Which is nice. It's kind of its own.
It is.
Reward.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
However, on that note, it is around the hour mark, and I would like to keep the fireside chats no more than, sometimes we go off the rails, but this has been a good one. We've gone for an hour and 16 minutes. So let's start wrapping this up. Robert, where can everyone find you?
Robert Kuzland on Instagram, on Twitter, and also on YouTube, although I'm not doing as much at the moment. And obviously with the Masculine Geeks. So there you go.
Indeed. And last and not least, special needs child himself.
Yeah. So yeah, you can support me with GoFundMe for my my mental health care.
Start your mental health campaign.
Yeah. No, you can find me at the Come On Man podcast. It's available on all major podcast platforms, including YouTube. And I go live Wednesday and Friday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And then I have usually I have pre-recorded sort of interviews on Monday mornings. But occasionally the lives have guests as well. So yeah, like I said earlier, Friday, Eric Everhardt's joining me. We're going to be talking about how to blow women's minds. He's got an upcoming book too called The Tao of Eating Pussy. So we'll probably talk about that on Friday.
I think I'll buy that just for the goddamn title.
He said that. So he's pushing a course and he's giving the book away for free with the course. And so he's like, hey, what's your shipping address? I'll send you it. I was like, fucking awesome. Thanks, man.
Cool.
So, yeah.
You have to eat pussy like it's the last meal on earth, you motherfuckers.
His first book talks about it. I think it's like the whole first chapter on it, and he talks about how he basically will teach you how to read a girl's clit like Braille. It's great.
Yeah, you just close your eyes and there you go. Yeah, it's that's a skill that us analog gentlemen learned very early without the internet.
Mhm.
Sorry, guys. You guys are all handicapped. You need these books. But but still, that's okay. The books are out there, and you need to learn.
Mm-hmm.
It's good stuff.
Although
Exactly.
those old folks like us who actually know how to write cursive with our tongues have a significant advantage over
What
you
did
kids
Sam
that only
Kinison
learn
say?
how to
You
print.
write the alphabet with your tongue. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a class. That's an old classic.
Yeah, and us old
Absolutely.
farts know how to do it in cursive. So there you go.
That's
We
right.
learn more than just printing that stuff.
Indeed.
So
Chris, you can buy plenty of Bud Light in regard to the super chat. Yeah, there you go.
yeah.
There will probably be Bud Light at the Masculine Geek Village by the Sea because Rob likes to drink Bud Light when he's out here. So that's whatever. That's fine.
And right now they're giving the
Fuck it.
stuff away, so
It'll be real cheap for him. Yeah.
yeah.
We don't usually drink it, but that's Rob's deal. So sure.
That's his gimmick. Yeah.
That is his that's his gimmick and his shtick. Absolutely.
That is
All right, gentlemen. If there's no more, Mowgli, shut up. If there are no more questions, we're going to go ahead and call it a night. So going once.
But show the belt again before we go out.
Oh
Yeah, hold up the belt.
This is what's up for grabs, folks.
There you go.
Coming in Vegas in
Rule
September.
Zero Manosphere.
yeah.
Undisputed.
That's
Undisputed World Manosphere Championship.
Somebody get a screenshot of that.
It's literally 6 pounds. It's not like a fucking
Really?
plastic toy that you get at the supermarket.
shit.
Like that's a real belt. Yeah.
Where did you get it?
Oh, what man? There's some custom belt trophy maker that I found. Cost me almost $200. Yeah.
That's kind of cool. Okay, sweet. Well, we look forward to seeing that outcome in September. That'll be fun for sure.
Oh, you know what the outcome's going to be. I'm going to retain that fucking title.
You got to kick some ass. All right. You heard it here first. You heard it here, folks. There you go. All right. All right, gentlemen. Everyone have a good evening. As always, a pleasure. I think with good fortune and no mishaps, Rollo will be DMing his campaign on the 5th, next Wednesday. So there you go. And then we'll find out what's going on with Drew's. Hang on, we got 3 new howdy fellas just popping in to say hi. James, as always, you're late to the party, but it's good to see you, my friend. You have a good night as well. Don't forget to buy your ticket out here to the East Coast in September, you slacking bastard. Fuck. It's like herding cats and fucking dealing with little retarded kids. All right, everyone. Enjoy.